afternoon. My name is Sheila Lamb, and I'm with the Virginia SBDC Network. For those of you that are not familiar with our organization, the Virginia Small Business Development Center is a partnership program between the U.S. Small Business Administration, George Mason University, and local host institutions throughout Virginia. With 26 locations across the Commonwealth, we provide training and technical assistance to small businesses in their local communities. Our one-on-one advising services are available at no charge. Today's webinar, Keeping Up with Digital Marketing, A's for Your Q's, ChatGPT, is presented by the Virginia SBDC Network. Please mark your calendars for the next webinar in our Digital Bootcamp series, How to Manage Your WordPress Website, on March 12th. We are recording today's presentation, and it will be posted on our website, virginiasbdc.org. Due to the large number of participants, everyone's microphone is muted and the chat feature is turned off. But if you have questions during the presentation, you can type those into the Q&A box and we will address them at the end of the session. We have also enabled the live transcript function, which you can show or hide via your own meeting controls. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today's session, Cameron Nelson, Technology Advisor for the Virginia SBDC. Cameron has over 19 years of experience in technology and is a senior tech consultant in Silicon Valley, helping Fortune 500 companies improve their digital marketing and e-commerce. At the same time, he also founded several tech companies, including a software-as-a-service website for tree preservation and a blockchain platform for nonprofits. Cameron is accomplished in language, culture, has an MBA and MA. He believes new technology products have the ability to help shape our world for the better. Please join me in welcoming Cameron Nelson.
Thank you for the introduction. And hello, everybody. Welcome to this session on AI and ChatGPT. This continues to be a very popular topic among business owners, and for good reason. Over the last year, we've seen numerous examples of how businesses are able to use AI and applications like ChatGPT and others to help them improve their operations and in many different ways. So we're going to be exploring the main ways that I think AI and ChatGPT can be useful for you as a business owner. We'll be looking at a couple of different platforms because I know there's a lot out there and more every month, it seems. And at the end of the presentation, I'll be happy to take any questions that you have and see if I can try to answer them. So feel free to type those into the Q&A box as you think of them. So with that, let's jump right into it. So first, I want to start by giving a brief definition of what is GPT. We've heard this term a lot in the last year from ChatGPT, but in fact, all of these different platforms run on what is a GPT, which stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And if we break that down, it makes sense in the context of what these applications are giving us. They are generating answers. That's where the generative part comes in. They're pre-trained because they're analyzing all of the data of the internet, and they've scoured that, and huge data centers are able to quickly compute answers based on all of that data. So they're pre-trained on the data, and they're transformer because they're able to kind of intelligently interpret what you say and then give you the answers that you want. And all this to mean is that they respond more or less like a human being would to your questions. So GPTs are an entire family of AI language models, but they were actually created by OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT. And the key difference with GPTs versus any other artificial intelligence before, like Alexa or Siri, is that they really generate human-like text and responses based on your queries. So they're much more powerful and intuitive than former models would have been. So there's several main options here when it comes to which AI GPT you might want to use. OpenAI created ChatGPT, which was the first and still is, I think, the best option for many people and small businesses. But Google, not to be left behind, launched theirs called Google Bard. Microsoft launched Bing. Now, one thing to keep in mind with Bing is that Microsoft is a large owner of OpenAI, and they partner closely with them. Bing does nothing but use ChatGPT, essentially. So you're going to get the same quality of answers with either of those two platforms. And the last one here is called Agent GPT and Auto GPT. So Agent GPT and Auto GPT are slightly different than the other three, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. But they kind of take the concept of an AI helper in your business to another level, which some of you might find really interesting and useful. The two main systems that we're going to be looking at today are ChatGPT and then Agent GPT. So you can access them both here on these websites, and this entire presentation will be emailed to you, so you don't need to write these down. But here are the links to access these. ChatGPT starts with a free tier, which is very useful and it will fulfill many of your needs. Or you can spend $20 a month to get access to their Pro tier, which gives you a little bit faster data generation, a little bit faster and more accurate answers. You can also create things like images with this $20 a month tier. Agent GPT also has a free tier, and you can upgrade for $40 a month to get access to slightly faster and more accurate answers. ChatGPT is already on version 4. They've said version 5 might be coming out sometime early next year, so it's still at least a year away. But version 4 is very stable, and like I said, it was really what's kicked off this AI race. And so it's very well established. Whereas Agent GPT is still as a beta product, and they do tell you that. So you can expect to find more inconsistencies with its answers from time to time and maybe slower access to it compared to ChatGPT. But as you consider using a GPT for your business, I think it's important to understand how important the generative pre-trained transformers are in understanding their intellectual kind of capacity. So here is some information showing how well ChatGPT, both the older version 3.5 and the latest version 4.0, how they scored in common entrance exams across the United States. As you can see, it passed the verbal GRE in the 99th percentile, writing the SAT 93rd, passed the law exam in the 90th percentile, et cetera, et cetera. So very impressive scores with these standardized tests. And it just goes to show how capable these models are at understanding questions as a business owner would typically ask, and also generating the correct responses. So now that I've given that brief overview of these technologies and which ones we're going to be focusing on today, these are the 5 goals for this presentation and the 5 main ways that I think a AI like ChatGPT can help you. The first way is in your content generation, content creation. Secondly is with your market research. Third, ChatGPT is great at helping you brainstorm and come up with new ideas for your business. Fourth, GPTs are excellent at analyzing data, whether it's your own proprietary data from your business or data that's publicly available, and helping you draw really quick and important insights from that data and help you answer questions that the data can help you answer. And fifth, the GPTs are very good at prototyping and design for new services and products. And so we're going to see now examples of these 5, and we're going to be comparing ChatGPT with the Agent GPT method. So the first one is content generation. I would say about 75% of the businesses that I meet with through the SBDC are using ChatGPT or one of those other ones to help them with their content generation. So the first way that it can help with this is just by drafting content. It's great at generating initial versions of your content. It can provide you outlines of a piece of content, and this can be a newsletter or a blog post, or it can write the entire thing. Also, if you provide like a seed of an idea, ChatGPT can expand on that, doing further research and analysis and finish writing that piece of content for you. I think it's most useful to consider these GPTs as creating you a first draft. Oftentimes, there might be several things you're going to want to change in the version that they give you. So let's say it's an email newsletter. Rarely do you see it perfect from the point of view of who your target market is and what they're looking for. So I would definitely look it over before you just use anything a GPT gives you at this point. Though, as the months and years progress, they are getting better and better. So this step will probably be less necessary in the future. Secondly, ChatGPT is really good at helping you maintain your tone and your style, which helps reinforce your brand image online. So, for example, if you point it to a blog post you wrote or copy and paste in a bunch of social media posts from the past and say, okay, this is what I've written, analyze the style, analyze the tone, and now write my next blog post on this topic. And you give it a topic, it will actually mimic your style and tone very, very well. And so most people would not be able to tell it wasn't actually you writing it. And this can help you generate content that aligns closely with your brand identity, which is really important when building a good brand image online. Thirdly, and I hinted at this before, is that ChatGPT is really good at expanding on a short idea or even a short piece of content and helping you write a much more full version of that by providing more details and examples and explanations. And fourth, ChatGPT is also very good at search engine optimization, also called SEO optimization. So as you're creating text for your website, whether it's your product pages or maybe you're creating social media, blog posts, knowing how to put the right words that are being searched for frequently online and incorporate those onto the website or the blog post helps to boost your SEO, which means that it's much more likely to show up in a search result. So ChatGPT could, because it has access to both your competitors' websites and all the information on the internet, essentially, it's really good at helping you tweak your SEO. So before you publish a blog post or put out a piece of text on the internet, you can have a ChatGPT refine it for improving the SEO, and you'll see that it does a very good job with that. So I wanted to test out the capabilities and show you how ChatGPT works with a prompt that might be something that a lot of business owners will use it for. For these examples that follow in the next few slides, I'm always going to use the example of the Purina dog food company, just because it's a company most of us are familiar with. Most of us are familiar with dog food products. So we're going to understand if the answers given kind of match this company and what it needs, or if they're not accurate at all. So the first thing is I asked ChatGPT to pretend I'm the owner of Purina Dog Food Company and to write me a blog post. And I specify the format of blog posts and I specify the number of words. And if you don't specify the number of words, it might write something considerably longer. So if you have a certain word length in mind, it's always good to put that in. And I said, explain the benefits of my product to my target market. So ChatGPT started by writing a title which says Purina dog food, tail wagging goodness for your furry friend. So right off the bat, it's taking kind of a conversational and lighthearted tone. If you didn't want that, you could ask it to refine it by using either a serious tone or whichever tone you prefer. But then it goes on to write, at Purina, we understand that your four-legged family members deserve the very best, and that's why our dog food is specifically or especially crafted to provide a balanced and nutritious diet. And then it breaks down into these 4 bullet points, some of the specific advantages, such as premium ingredients, health and wellness, delicious taste, and a trustworthy brand. And then it ends by kind of summarizing this, why you should choose Purina and see the difference in your dog's happiness and well-being. It's not just dog food, it's a promise of love, care, and the best nutrition for your cherished companion. So ChatGPT did a great job at first understanding what the Purina Dog Food Company was. And again, this is an example, but you can use your own company here. It understood who the customers were, it understood the customer's needs, the products for your company, and it wrote this very succinct and well-written piece of marketing content. So, a lot of companies and businesses could take this and maybe modify it a little bit if they felt like it, and then they can use this content immediately for a newsletter, a blog post, a social media post, or whatever their need might be. But next, I wanted to see how the agent GPT works. So agent GPT works by not just providing you one answer, but it provides an answer and then it tries to refine the answer several more times until it gets to the best answer. And so essentially, if you were to say, now rewrite this in a different tone, agent GPT is going to try to intuitively figure out what the tone should be and automatically rewrite it. So we'll see how well it does with the results and compare those to ChatGPT. So again, I gave it the same prompt, and Agent GPT starts by writing, as the owner of Purina Dog Food, it's important to understand the target market. Okay, so it's actually just starting by kind of summarizing what the email is going to be about. So the second paragraph is kind of for the intended market, and it says one of the key benefits of Purina dog food is that it offers a wide range of options for different pets, including dogs, cats, and fish. By the way, if you see the number one, it is citing its sources that it's using here, and so you could click on the link and go see which source it is. So that's pretty nice. And ChatGPT will do the exact same thing if you ask it to. The third paragraph starts with another advantage of our product is its focus on providing well-balanced and nutritious food. And so it goes on. So I'm not going to read all of this every word, but I wanted to show you this is the first draft from Agent GPT. But what it does is that it goes on to a second draft, and it actually tells you how it's rewriting it. So it said here, identify the key benefits of Purina dog food for the target market, and then it's going to rewrite that entire piece of content. So in its second iteration, Agent GPT says, as the proud owner of Purina, you deserve to know why our dog food is the best choice for your beloved furry friend. And it breaks down 7 bullet points. So you can see here in this iteration, it's getting a little bit more targeted. It's kind of finding its tone, and it's also bullet pointing, which is probably going to make it easier for this content to be read by the target market. But it doesn't stop there. It goes on to its next iteration where it says to itself, write a blog post highlighting the benefits of Purina dog food to the target market. So it changes this format a little bit. It has now 5 bullet points, and it's essentially refining this content and getting it cleaner and smoother and more targeted every single time. And it gives itself yet another task where it's going to review and revise the blog post for clarity and effectiveness. And finally, it has its kind of final iteration. Now, because Agent GPT is, as I said, a beta product, it will cut itself off after about 4 iterations. But usually 4 iterations, you've seen that it's crafted something that's quite usable. It does take a little bit longer than ChatGPT because it's going through these iterations, and each one might take 30 seconds or a minute. So now that we've seen how ChatGPT and Agent GPT respond to a prompt around creating some content, let's see how they respond to and how they're able to help you do your market research as a business owner. Firstly, they can help you with question formulation. So if you're thinking about creating a survey or an interview or just gathering data to help you make decisions about your business, you might not be sure what questions you should be asking. These could be industry specific. They could be based on the challenges your business is facing, or if you have a new business idea, what kind of information you need to launch this new startup idea that you have. And ChatGPT and Agent GPT can be excellent at helping you create a list of questions to ask in a survey format or in an interview or even like a focus group. So asking it to come up with these questions is a very convenient way to get a jump start on your data gathering. Secondly, because the GPTs have essentially unlimited information about all the businesses and industries in the world, you can get a great competitive analysis by generating a report that will maybe give you an analysis of your company based on one that is down the street, or if you're selling online based on an online competitor. You can use it to do things like highlight your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats to your business. And this is essentially the kind of report that you would have hired some MBAs for at a consulting firm, and it would have cost thousands of dollars. And ChatGPT can do a very good job, maybe 95 or 98% of the same quality in essentially a minute or two and for very low cost. So this is a great way to use it. Thirdly, ChatGPT is really good at doing a trend analysis. It can look at current news stories, industry reports, articles, and help you identify trends of where your market for your products or services, where they're headed. This can help you with planning and forecasting purposes, understanding shifts in customer behavior or expectations. And it's just a very powerful tool to ask it to help you understand the trends. And again, you can provide it with information about your business to whatever level you would like, so it knows about what you're looking for. You can give it a link to your website, and it'll read your website, learn about your business, and then do a trend analysis for it. You can also upload files like a PDF if you have company information there, or maybe a business plan. But one thing I will say about the privacy of using ChatGPT is part of the terms and conditions, and this is the same with all of the free levels of GPTs out there, is that if you use them and upload a piece of information like a PDF file, say, the terms and conditions say that both the files you upload and the questions and responses that you get can be used to train that program and that platform. And so it's potential that information then becomes part of the public domain, and other people could potentially retrieve it in the getting answers for their questions. So at this point, never upload anything that's proprietary or secretive or sensitive about your business for that reason. Now, ChatGPT does have an expensive tier. I believe it's called Enterprise, and they do say there that any information you upload or questions you ask it are not shared with other people. So that's an option if you really need to use that feature. But at this point, I'd recommend you just avoid using anything that is secretive or sensitive and telling that to ChatGPT as you're using it. The fourth way that GPT can help you with market research is by interpreting your data. So a lot of business owners have website data, your analytics, or marketing data from your e-commerce sales, or you might have a point of sale system in your physical store and have lots of data on sales. You can upload that data and you can have it analyzed, and you can just ask it questions like you would ask a business analyst, a human being. You can say, what are the patterns here? What are the potential opportunities I'm missing? And you'll be amazed at how good these GPTs are at understanding the data you give it and how to answer your questions based on that data. So it can be really powerful. But again, you do need to be aware of what you're sharing with the data, and it might become public. And lastly, ChatGPT can be great at analyzing your interactions with customers. So if you have a social media page with posts and then customer comments, or maybe you have dozens of customer emails with feedback, and you're kind of wondering, well, how do I summarize the feedback? How do I uncover the customer preferences or problems they're having with my business or products? You can upload that information. You can copy and paste it into GPT or put it in a Word doc and upload that and ask ChatGPT to analyze that customer feedback and point out ways that you can improve, or essentially ask it any question you're curious about. So I want to go back to the example of Purina, and I want to say now, give me a SWOT analysis from my top competitors. And rather than just show you screenshots, I want to actually jump over to ChatGPT for a moment, and we're going to look at how it generates the answers for us. So here I'm logged into ChatGPT, and if you have never used this system before, it just basically runs through a website. They also do have a mobile app, and so either way, it'll give you the same results. Up at the top, you can see that it says I'm on ChatGPT version 3.5. I can also select the newer version, version 4, which gives me access to create images and some other things that I'll show you later on in the presentation. But for the purposes today, I'm going to stick with 3.5. It's faster in generating responses. And also, if you're not paying for the paid version to get version 4, this is what you'll be stuck with. So I want to show you what its capabilities are. So I'm going to put in my prompt to pretend I'm the owner of the Purina Dog Food Company and to give me a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of my top competitors. So as we see here, it's going through in real time and outputting the answer to my questions just in a format that goes from top to bottom. So it just finished. I think it took about 5 seconds, perhaps. So at the top, we see my original prompt. And then just below, ChatGPT says, certainly, as the owner of Purina, you want to assess your top competitors with the SWOT analysis. Here's an analysis. So it starts by finding one of our competitors. They called it competitor A. And this dog food company, it talks about the strengths that this company has, how it's effectively marketing. It has a robust marketing strategy with an online presence. It has a global reach. So this is a strength of one of my competitors, if I'm Purina. It now talks about the weaknesses of this company, how it has high quality products that come with more expensive pricing. It has limited innovation, so they're not innovating their products very much, and that it has limited focus on sustainability. The analysis continues with opportunities, and it finishes with threats. And it comes up with found competitor B, and it also analyzed competitor B for these similar things. So if you input some data about your own company, ChatGPT will be able to kind of do a similar analysis for you and help you understand this kind of basic business terminology, the strengths, opportunities, and threats, or any of the other areas that we just discussed. So while that was the output of ChatGPT, I also want to compare it to the agent GPT, which we're going to be comparing to a lot and seeing the differences and similarities. So while I mentioned agent GPT, it goes through several iterations, which is why I'm not going to show it in the browser real time because it can take too long to get to that final iteration. So what I've done here is I've just copy and pasted the final iteration of its answer so we can compare it to ChatGPT's. So this iteration, for all intents and purposes, is the most refined and the best answer that it can give. So it starts by saying the strengths, that Purina is a top player in the pet food market and holds the largest market share. It says 29%, and it cites a source here. That's why there's the number 2. So you could look at the source if you wanted to. Another strength of Purina is that it has a diverse range of dog food products. And finally, research and development, that the company researches and invests in R&D. However, it's found some weaknesses of this company, which are there's high competition. There's several major players vying for the market share. And there's limited organic options that Purina offers. So this is an interesting finding that Agent GPT looked at both the competitors, but also what are some trends in the pet food industry, and identified that organic pet food is something that is a trend with the target market, while Purina doesn't offer many organic options. So now it comes up with some opportunities. Growing demand for the premium pet food. So perhaps Purina can capitalize on the opportunity by expanding its premium product offerings with more high quality ingredients and also at a higher price point. And also Purina can expand into international markets. And it found a threat here that the regulatory challenges And the regulations, as they shift, it can be a threat to this business model. So both ChatGPT and Agent GPT gave some interesting feedback to this question. And I want to go on now to see what the capabilities are with the GPT models for idea generation. So we've seen how they can help with content. We've seen how they can help with research and analysis. But when it comes to idea generation, ChatGPT and the other ones are really good at being a brainstorming partner. You can ask it some questions about ideas you have for products and goods and services, and it can help you generate ideas to help complement those products or for brand new products. Secondly, creative prompts. So if you just kind of have writer's block, or you're just kind of stuck trying to think about how do you improve your business's goods or services, or if you're trying to launch a new business, how to position your goods and services, you can just kind of talk to ChatGPT and ask it to, help you think of some new ideas. You just say, hey, I'm stuck trying to think of a business idea. This is what I'm thinking about. Help me, innovate on this idea. And it's really, really good at just kind of doing some research and coming back to you with some really good suggestions. Number three is it's great at combining different concepts. So if you're trying to find a way to make money based on two different business ideas or two different products, ChatGPT is really good at helping you find those synergies between the products that maybe you haven't thought of, and help you launch those and maximize the ability of them to make money for you. And fourth, it's great at problem solving. So businesses have problems every single day, and they're big and small. And so ChatGPT can help you come up with strategies to overcome any obstacles you have in your business. Again, sometimes it can be helpful to upload data to explain an issue the business is having, and you can do that if you're comfortable with the policies around the data sharing, or you can just describe it in a more general way, and ChatGPT will, to the best of its ability with the general information, help you problem solve and come up with solutions to your queries. So I wanted to put this to the test and ask ChatGPT to help brainstorm new types of pet foods the owner of Purina Pet Food Company could develop that will sell well in this market. So we're going to jump back over to ChatGPT, and we're going to see how it responds to this in real time. Now, because we're still in the part of the thread here, kind of the message thread that we started, it's going to intuitively know what we talked about up above. So it'll have the benefit of those questions and answers. So it's usually best to keep your chats in a similar vein in the same thread for that reason. So now we're going to see what it says with brainstorming new types of pet foods. All right, so it finished. I think it was about 4 or 5 seconds. So it came up with quite a few ideas of new products. The first one is fresh meal kits. It said you can offer pet owners pre-packaged fresh meal kits, include all the ingredients needed to prepare a balanced home-cooked meal for their pets, recipes and proportion control guidelines. The second suggestion was customizable pet food, to create a platform or an app that allows pet owners to customize their pets' food based on dietary requirements, allergies, and taste preferences. Thirdly, the third suggestion was to offer sustainable and eco-friendly pet foods, to develop pet foods made from sustainable ingredients and emphasize your commitment to reducing carbon footprint associated with pet food production. So looking at this one in more detail, interesting thing to note is that ChatGPT is picking up on trends. And I would say in the last year, more so than 3 or 4 years ago, the emphasis on reducing carbon footprints for products and companies, and eco-friendly packaging. This has become a much bigger of an issue with what consumers are looking for. So it's a good indication that ChatGPT is analyzing trends in the pet food industry and correctly giving the information here in these suggestions of how to, entice this target market to buy the product. The fourth suggestion is superfood infused to incorporate superfoods like quinoa, chia seeds, or kale into pet food formulas. Interesting idea. The next one is probiotic and digestive health, age-specific formulas, hydration-focused products. And I'm not going to read all of them. It looks like there are 17. So it's an impressive list. And I think with any business, coming up with a list this quickly of possible new products is very valuable. And so this was, and it is a key way of using this technology of helping you analyze both where your business is now and also the industry you're in to helping find these opportunities for products. But next, I want to move on and see how well Agent GPT did. And again, this is the final iteration of their results. So Agent GPT said grain-free and gluten-free options. With the increasing demand for grain-free diets among pet owners, developing grain-free and gluten-free pet food catered to specific dietary preferences. Sounds like a pretty solid idea. The second one is limited ingredients. So simple and easily digestible pet foods. So pet foods with limited ingredients. The third idea is novel protein sources like venison, duck, or bison to provide unique flavors for pets with allergies or sensitive to common protein sources like chicken and beef. The fourth recommendation, plant-based or vegetarian options. The fifth was functional or specialized diets. So this means if your dog is looking for, needs joint support, weight management, or dental health, you can have products made specifically to meet these needs. A fresh or refrigerated option, and lastly, customizable meal plans. So both of the GPTs here gave a good list, showing, a lot of research and thought and drawing on a lot of different sources. For the most part, they came up with different things, though there's a few that have a little bit of overlap, which isn't surprising because these two GPT models were trained on essentially this same data, which is all the data of the internet. It's just how they were designed to interpret that data and answer your questions comes up to how they respond differently. So whether or not you prefer ChatGPT's list of 17 or Agent GPT's smaller list here, they both give you some valuable insight into this question of generating these new ideas. The next thing that GPT is really good at is data analysis and helping you generate insights from data. So the first way is by hypothesis testing. If you describe a hypothesis or a test that you want to perform and you have some data, but you would like to, validate your theories, GPT can help you explain the data and help you come up with relevant statistics to validate or refute your hypothesis. It'll actually go and do the calculations after it decides what calculations to do. And so it really helps you from start to finish there, prove or disprove a hypothesis for your business. Second way is with predictive analytics. And if you have any kind of historical data, let's say it's sales trends from a point of sale system in your store, or maybe it's your e-commerce store, ChatGPT can build a predictive model looking at future forecasting. It can help you budget your inventory and plan your marketing appropriately based on predictive trends. Third is segmentation analysis. So almost every business has different segments they sell to. And this could be based on age, by income, by geographic location, or many other factors. The most efficient way to market nowadays is to understand the different main segments that make up your customer base and having slightly different marketing messages crafted for each one. So ChatGPT can help you segment your market by understanding their behaviors and preferences, and then help you create the marketing text to specifically help you sell to each of your segments. Fourth is that it can help you identify opportunities if you describe your business goal. If you're a Virginia-based pet store owner and you want to expand into, let's say, Maryland this year, you can describe that as your goal and have ChatGPT analyze available data and suggest the best way to do that. And lastly is feedback analysis. So having customer feedback is very common nowadays. You might have it in some sort of a text format. And if you're interested in learning more about customer satisfactions or pain points, and you want to understand how to craft your messaging, like your replies back to customers, ChatGPT can help you maintain a consistent tone and style of your responses while helping you generate feedback and responses to customers based on the data that you have. So the next challenge I wanted to give ChatGPT was to perform an analysis of my main customer segments and analyze their behaviors and preferences so I can market to them better. So this is applicable for every type of business scenario where you want to learn more about your target market and how are you going to message them? How are you going to connect with them and sell to them, either in a physical store or online? So we're going to take this question and we're going to give it to ChatGPT. And we will see what it says. Okay, it finished with its answer. And it starts by saying, let's assume you have 3 primary customer segments. So yeah, you could have specified, let's break my customers into 5 segments or 10 segments. But because we didn't, it's going to assume, and it's going to tell us that it assumed we'll have 3 segments. So segment 1 is the health conscious pet owners. And it starts by analyzing their behaviors and their preferences. So these customers prioritize pet health. They research pet food ingredients. They prefer natural and organic ingredients. They read those product labels very carefully, and they might talk to veterinarians or pet nutritionalists for advice. So based on their unique characteristics, there's a few marketing strategies it recommends, such as highlighting the nutritional value and health benefits of the products, emphasizing natural and organic ingredients, of course, where applicable in the product lineup, providing detailed ingredient lists and nutritional information, and collaborate with veterinarians and pet experts for endorsements or recommendations. So right there, you get some really valuable information about what your target market, what the segment is like, and what they need to convince them to buy your product. So it's very valuable. The second segment are the busy pet owners. They have limited time for pet care. They prefer convenient and easy to feed pet food options. They can rely on dry kibble or pre-packaged meals for simplicity, and they look for products with a long shelf life. So marketing strategies for this segment are to highlight the convenience and time-saving aspects of the products, promote the ease of storage, and offer automatic delivery options like a subscription service. And finally, the third segment it identified are price-conscious pet owners who prefer budget foods and seek value. And they may prioritize low cost over premium ingredients. They look for discounts or promotions, and they prefer to buy in large pack sizes. So the marketing strategy for this segment is to offer competitive pricing and be more visible and flashy with things like discounts and promotions. Talk about the cost efficiency of large pack sizes that you sell, and emphasize the value and affordability of your products without compromising quality. So this is a great breakdown of the 3 main segments, and I'm sure if the Purina dog food company is not already aware of these details and nuances, that somebody there's run it through ChatGPT and found out. But you can see for any company, whether large or small, It's very, very valuable to know this information about your target market. It goes on to now say that in addition to these segment-specific strategies pointed out above, there's some general marketing approaches. So we didn't really ask for this, but it decided it was important enough to give it to us anyway. So it's first, number one, talks about your online presence. Number two, your social media and just some tips. Number three is customer reviews of how you should showcase those. And it goes on with 8 more marketing suggestions. Now, if you wanted to have information about any one of these, it's quite easy. So let's say we're really interested in educational content. So I can just ask down below, so give me more information about your point number 5, educational content. And it's going to come up with a whole strategy. And again, it'll even write the individual blog posts and all the content if you want it to. But it's just coming up with a whole educational content strategy for this business. And it talks about point number 1, your importance of writing blog posts and articles. Point 2, how-to guides and tutorials. Point 3, webinars and live sessions. Point 4, ebooks and white papers. Point 5, social media content, email newsletters, podcasts, interactive tools. 10 points. Now, again, you can dive deeper into any one of these just by asking more information. If you wanted to write this blog post from start to finish, it will also do that. So very quick and easy way to both build that strategy and also build the final assets that you can use in your business. So that was ChatGPT's answer for the analysis of the customer segments. Agent GPT, their final version, came up with something I would say pretty similar. It broke it down into 5 categories. The first one are pet owners. It says this is the largest and most diverse customer segment. The second one are the value shoppers. So this is very similar to ChatGPT in those price-conscious shoppers, because this segment consists of those who prioritize affordability over brand loyalty or even quality ingredients. The third are the health-conscious owners. Fourth, and the ChatGPT didn't come up with this one, but it might have if we had told it to come up with 5 categories, is the breed-specific owners. So many dog owners have a specific breed with unique dietary requirements, so that can be an important segment to understand. And 5th is convenience seekers. And I do believe ChatGPT found something very similar, those looking for convenience and speed over things like quality ingredients. So now that we've looked at how well ChatGPT can do with the data analysts and insights into your target market and for other aspects of your business, let's explore how it can help you with prototyping and design. One great way is in concept visualization. You can describe initial concepts, and if for a product or a business idea, and ChatGPT can visualize those graphically. If you have version 4.0 with your image creation, or it can create text-based descriptions for you, helping to bring those kind of concepts more to life and flesh them out for you. If you're looking to develop anything online, like a website or a mobile app, you can describe what you would like your website or mobile app to do, and ChatGPT can create those mock-ups of the app screens or the website pages. And this can be a great way to visualize a website or app before you pay someone to develop it, and even give your developers a head start on the layout and design, helping you save time and money. Third are user flows. So again, this is if you're creating a website or an app and you're trying to find the most optimal way to guide people around your website, ChatGPT can help analyze, again, tons of websites similar to yours, your competitors, and figure out what's working best on their websites, what's working the worst, and help you determine the user flow to really optimize your website or app. User interface and user experience design ideas is similar to wireframes and mockups and user flows, where ChatGPT will analyze websites and take your ideas and provide design suggestions and some guidelines to help you enhance a future website or app you're planning on building. Number 5 are feature suggestions. So a feature is just one part of what you want your website to do. So if you have a newsletter sign-up form, that would be a feature. Or if you have a blog section, that would be another feature. So if you're thinking about launching a new website specifically, and you're wondering which of those features you need to really reach your target market, of course, having them all would be cost prohibitive probably. So you need to be really strategic about how you build that experience for your customers. ChatGPT can help you analyze and figure out which features are going to be the best. And 6th is by writing product descriptions. So just like how we saw ChatGPT was really good at writing a blog post, it can also write your product descriptions. You can get started with some information about your product, and also if you're working in a thread like I showed you with ChatGPT, where it has your other messages in that same text thread or that same chat thread, then ChatGPT will remember all of that, and you won't have to retype any of it. And you can start writing your product descriptions with that market research that ChatGPT has already done in mind. It'll automatically know that and just incorporate that as it writes its product descriptions for you. So I wanted to test this final aspect of the utility for these GPTs and asked ChatGPT to give me some feature suggestions for my website. So in this example, again, let's pretend we're the owners of Purina Dog Food. We're looking to maybe redo our website or expand it, and we want to make sure we have the right features on it. So the first suggestion is a pet profile creator to allow its users to create profiles for their pets on the website, including details like age, breed, size, and dietary preference. And then you can use this information to provide personal product recommendations. It's a pretty good idea. Secondly is a virtual pet nutritionalist. You can develop an interactive tool that asks users questions about the pet's health and the needs to provide tailored nutrition advice. The next one is auto refill subscription. So you could have a subscription service where they just automatically sign up for a continuous supply of pet food. And the next one is the pet health tracker. You can upload information such as weight, vaccinations, and medical history about your pet and create a digital health record. Another idea is a pet community forum, and there were more. I just focused on these. So right off the bat, you can see that, and I went to Purina.com to see if they have all of these features or any of these features, and you'd be surprised that they don't have many of these features yet. However, I think we'd probably all agree that some of these would be quite useful. If you're a pet owner and you're shopping at Purina, you might find this valuable. So ChatGPT was able to kind of make some really good intuitive guesses and assumptions based on the market and the competitors, and to help this company improve their website with these features. Now I asked Agent GPT the same thing, and it came up with these recommendations. Now I did color code the 3 categories of feasibility, impact, and customer demand myself, but everything else is just how Agent GPT gave it. So the first thing it said is that an online pet adoption forum. And I like Agent GPT, how it broke down for each of their suggestions, its suggestions, it came up with 3 different criteria. How feasible is it? Which means if you're paying a team of developers to build this feature in, essentially, is it easy or is it really, really hard? The impact on the business's bottom line, on your revenue, and then the customer demand in the marketplace. So with this online pet adoption forum, it said the feasibility is moderate, the impact can be high, and there's high customer demand. So, if you're looking for kind of the quick wins here, it's kind of breaking those down here for you, which is really nice. The next one is personalized pet nutrition recommendations. Now, this is similar to ChatGPT's how you upload data of your pets and have an algorithm kind of analyze the data and provide pet food recommendations. Agent GPT said the feasibility is high, the impact is high, and customer demand is high for this. And the next one is an interactive pet health tracker. Again, this is similar to ChatGPT's. It's moderately feasible, has moderate impact, and moderate customer demand. So interesting results with feature suggestions. Again, it has looked at the website, the competitors' websites, customer trends in the industry, and a lot of other data to provide these targeted recommendations. So we've looked at some of my sample prompts. As I've showed you on the past slides, they can be brief, they can be detailed, but how do you write good prompts? Because writing good prompts is how you're going to get the most accurate answers from any of these GPT systems. So here are the 4 main tips that I'd recommend you focus on when you're going to interact with any of these GPTs and write your prompts. The first one is to write clear instructions. Include details in your prompt to get more relevant answers. So in my first prompt, I said, write me a blog post in 200 words. So that's an example. I put in the detail of 200 words. The more details you give it, the more precise your answers will be and more of what you're looking for. If you want to specify the steps it should take to complete a task, you can, and also you can give some examples. So if you saw a blog post from a competitor that you really liked, you could copy and paste it in there and say, here's an example of something I liked. Now write me a blog post in 200 words for my business, and it will do that. Tip number 2 is to provide reference text or reference data if it's available. You can both copy and paste in text. There is a limit though. So if you try to copy and paste in, say, 50 pages, you will get an error just that says this is too much text. But you can upload a Word doc or a PDF that's 100 pages or 200 pages, and there won't be a problem of analyzing the text in that. It's just usually if you copy and paste it that there's a size limit, and that's being improved upon all the time. So I think in the next year or two, that size limit will greatly go away. But right now, there are some limitations with how much it can analyze for you of the text you paste. And also, for sometimes it'll be useful to have citations from sources. So if you're writing anything that's going to be scrutinized academically or professionally, and you need those citations, ChatGPT will get its facts and figures from its vast array of data, and it can cite sources, but you do just need to ask it that. Tip number 3 is to give ChatGPT time to think. So as you saw with the version 3.5 that I was running, it generated its full answer in about 4 seconds, I would say. However, if you say in your prompt, take your time and think through this slowly, and you could even say, don't rush to any conclusions, or use other phrases like that, you'll see that it does take longer in its answers. And this can give you more detailed and accurate answers because it's not trying to rush its answers out. So that's one thing to try. And you can also, if you got an answer and you feel like it's slightly lacking in detail, but you're not really sure what, you can just ask ChatGPT, did you miss anything? Can you redo your answer? And it will actually think about that question and try to redo the answer with more detail and answer your question more fully. And question number 4, or tip number 4, is if you have, most of my prompts were on one question, right? But if you were to put in a prompt that contained like 5 or 6 different questions, you're gonna get a rushed answer that probably doesn't fully answer them. So you should split up any large or complex tasks and make them just smaller pieces, smaller pieces that the output could be something quite simple. You can take that, and then if you want to add to it, that can be your next prompt. But you don't want to try to kind of overwhelm ChatGPT or any of the GPTs with a bunch of different requests, it can lead to kind of garbled answers that aren't exactly what you're looking for. And again, I think this technology is moving very rapidly, and this issue will not be so prevalent in the next year or two. But right now, it is something that you'll see from time to time if you give it too many things. So as you're writing your prompts, there's a lot of different ways you can get ChatGPT to kind of output the information you're looking for. There's here 22 different ways that you can interact with it, but I've highlighted here the key ones that I think are most useful. And you can, of course, play with any of the others and see how you like the results. But the first one is the tone. So if you want a piece of content to come back and be formal, casual, informative, persuasive, or any other tone, you can just specify that. Same with the format. If you want it to be an essay format with paragraphs, if you want it to be bullet points and outline, or even a dialogue between two characters, you can have it output any of those formats. You can state the objective. So if you want to inform, persuade, or even entertain with the content. Point number 8, I find very useful, specifying any limitations you have. Point 11 is to specify the audience. And if you have ChatGPT segment your customers for you, then you can say the audience is so-and-so segment, the health conscious pet owners would be the audience. And it will write the content specifically for that segment. And 18 is if you want quotes or statements from experts or even things like testimonials, you can ask for those and they will be part of the content. So again, you'll get this whole list in the presentation file emailed to you, but I just wanted to go over those few key ones that I find the most important. So now that we've looked at ChatGPT and AgentGPT pretty thoroughly, I want to just briefly go over a broader landscape because there are so many different AIs, and some of these you might have heard of, and you might not quite be sure where they fit into your workflow with your business. So when it comes to writing content, you have ChatGPT, which we talked about. You also have Jasper and Copy AI. So these are all competing platforms, and you might find that you like Jasper over ChatGPT for creating your content. When it comes to creating videos with AI, this is kind of the new frontier, and a lot of businesses are trying to start using AI for video generation, for marketing or promotions. Here are the top 3 video generating platforms. I'll say right now they're still quite limited, so you're not going to find them terribly useful. But probably in the next 6 to 12 months, they will be much more powerful and useful for business owners. You can even create audio generated by AI if you're looking for that. If you're doing any kind of coding, if your business is to do with software development, then you might have already heard of some of these, like GitHub Copilot. All of these essentially help use your writing code kind of write it for you. So it's definitely exciting in the world of software development to have AI use its vast knowledge of coding and essentially the programming language, like the English language, and help you write that faster. There are also some productivity AI platforms. And lastly, images, which are a very popular use case with AI. You can create images with Midjourney, Rocket AI, and BRIA, as well as ChatGPT. If you're on their paid version, you can create really nice images for your business. So as an example of some AI-generated images, here are some that show a wide range of different use cases. Everything ranging from a silly Gandalf in the upper left corner to abstract art to what looks like a photo of a flower, but it's just AI generated, to human faces, the cover magazines, and then toys and product images. All these were generated by AI, and they're all within the last 3 or 4 months. So this technology is evolving very rapidly. And a year ago, none of these would have been possible. But ChatGPT and Midjourney and those other AI generators are progressing very rapidly and getting to this point where images are looking very realistic. And the current laws around image generation is that if you generate an image and you want to use it for your business and your marketing or promotional materials, any AI generated images that you generate are yours and you can use them as you want in your business. Here's a couple more examples specifically of ChatGPT's image generator. And you can see how simple it is to kind of create a prompt to get the image that you want. The image on the left, the prompt was a mini map diorama of a cafe adorned with indoor plants, wooden beams, crisscrossing above, and a cold brew station. Stands out with tiny bottles and glasses. And it created that image. Similarly, on the right, tiny potato kings wearing majestic crowns, sitting on thrones, overseeing a potato kingdom. So, these are both kind of silly examples, but it gives you an idea that you don't need to put a lot of thought into your prompts of generating an image. It can generate, hundreds of images on the same prompt. It can just keep kind of coming up with new versions. So there's a lot of creativity and flexibility here that's at your fingertips for using AI to generate images for your businesses. You can use them on blog posts, on social media, on your website, or newsletters, or really any other format that you'd like. So some of the things that I've talked about here, you might have thought, wow, that looks really cool. That looks very, kind of revolutionary. And I just wanted to show quite how rapidly ChatGPT has grown and just quite how important it is and how big its impact is. This shows how long it took some of the major digital platforms that we commonly use to reach a lot of users. So you see Netflix here took 3.5 years. Airbnb took 2.5 years. Facebook, it took 13 months. And ChatGPT took only 5 days. And so the user base of ChatGPT has definitely exploded in the last 6 to 12 months. And this technology is becoming very prevalent across industries for small business owners and the use cases we described, as well as many other industries around the world. But no technology is all has all benefits. I think we can agree that with every technology, there's always been also downsides or risks. So what are some of the risks and downsides of using ChatGPT? Well, so from my experience in research, the four key things that I would look out for is number one, that it can sometimes get facts wrong. This is getting less and less of a problem, but when ChatGPT came out just over a year ago, about a year and 2 months ago, it would often misrepresent facts like who is the president of United States at a certain year, just simple facts, but that has largely gone away. But it can still sometimes get just basic facts wrong. So it's always good to double check facts that it gives you. There are also plugins that will allow AIs like ChatGPT to log directly into your social media accounts or even finance accounts and use them as you would use them, which I think is a pretty big risk now. And I wouldn't recommend giving an AI access to those types of things until they're better tested. The third risk is that the free tier of ChatGPT, and in fact, many of the GPTs can be overwhelmed by users and the load. So if you're relying on it to give you something in a quick turnaround time, you could find that you are in a situation where you have to wait a half an hour or an hour. And if you are in the paid tier, that largely goes away. But if you're in the free tier, that can still be an issue. And point number 4, like I mentioned, is leaking of sensitive information. As the policies say, if you upload anything or even the questions you ask can be then used to enhance GPT and you can train it further. And there have been some kind of well-known cases in the last year where employees of big companies have uploaded company documents that have since then become public and leaked out. So just be aware of that if you're using it. I was curious, and I also asked ChatGPT, what are the risks of using you for small businesses? And what ChatGPT said was that it can be biased. And I think this is a great point to remember that the AI algorithms, they're trained on information. So if that information is biased, then the output they also give you can lead to discriminatory outcomes. And this could, of course, harm a business's reputation or lead to legal problems. So be aware that there could be biases built in based on the data set. Secondly, it can have a lack of human touch. So if your customers get a sense that everything you're doing is AI generated text or AI generated images, it can create a sense of distance between you and your customers, which could harm your relationship with them. It's obviously not what you want. So you do need to feel that out and feel where the line is between having it be useful and time-saving tool versus harming your relationship with your important customers. Thirdly, ChatGPT said over-reliance and using ChatGPT for marketing can lead to an over-reliance. And it actually said it can reduce the creativity and innovation of human writers. And there is actually a big debate going on right now with famous authors saying that, you know, ChatGPT was trained on my work, but I wasn't compensated. And so that's one part of the argument is ChatGPT, you know, going to make us all think less about the writing that we're doing because it's doing it for us based on other famous writers' work. And the fourth point is that it has limited context. So if you give it a one sentence prompt to do something, that's not a lot of context to go on. And so because it might not have a complete understanding of the broader context of your business or of your question, then the answers could be not really aligned with what you're looking for. So that's when it is useful to upload additional data or provide more information, usually up to the limits of what it can accept in the system with the speed at which it can analyze your documents. If you upload something too big, it'll just simply usually give you an error and say this is too big to analyze. So there's also debates going on and discussions in political levels, both in the US and worldwide. This was a US study put out recently talking about, well, trying to estimate the percent of total jobs that will be lost to AI. And it's just part of the broader conversation about this technology. It's an important thing to keep in mind. The estimate here was, you know, by 2023, something around 34% of jobs lost to non-generative AI and automation. So there's definitely some element of replacing humans with AI, as you would have in the past hired a graphic designer or a content writer to help you with your marketing. Now, many business owners such as yourselves are turning to AI, and you know those content writers are obviously not getting that kind of work. So that's one aspect of this technology. And also one other study that came out just recently, within the last week, the International Monetary Fund, they were looking at the global impact of AI, and they had a similar type of take. The US study showed about 34% of jobs could be lost to AI. This report predicts around 40% of jobs could be lost to AI. Now, interestingly, if you look at the advanced economies bar, of which we're currently part of, advanced economies are at more risk than the low income countries category. So this is interesting because more of our workforce is dedicated to these jobs of content creation, content writing, even designing and coding that can be quite easily replaced with AI, whereas in low income countries, more of the jobs are physical things that cannot be replaced with AI as easily. So just something to keep in mind, a data point that could be, you know, valuable as you consider whether or not you want to use AI in your business, and if so, to what extent. And lastly, there's been some, like I mentioned, the writers unhappy with AI using their writing to produce results. But there's also a couple other initiatives out there to encourage people to discuss AI and kind of the risks it might pose to society. And so one of them is called the Future of Life Institute. And they wrote a letter last year, and Elon Musk was a signer of it. And it basically said that we should pause training of AI systems for a while to see that, to really study the impact they're going to have and make sure it doesn't, say, ruin the world economy. So if you're interested in learning more about the Future of Life Institute, there's a link to that here, and you can see kind of what they're proposing. Also, very interestingly, in November last year, the UK government came out with this declaration, the Bletchley Declaration, which kind of made the UK stance on AI very apparent. So you can read that here. And there's another article that I found very interesting talking about how generative AI is stealing the valor of human intelligence, and basically how using AI to think for us will make people, less intelligent, able to think for themselves. So you can read more about that here if you're interested. So I hope that that was some valuable information and you learned some useful things about how ChatGPT and Agent GPT can be used for your business. And now I'd be happy to jump into your questions in the remaining time that we have. So thank you for your participation.
Okay, we do have about 10 questions or so we'll see if we can get through these. For SEO optimization, do you have to give it the keywords, phrases, or can it identify the keywords and then incorporate it into the text?
So with SEO optimization, you can either, let's say you have a website, and let's say you're doing your homepage, which is probably the most common use case. You can copy and paste all of that text into ChatGPT and say, now help me do SEO analysis and optimize this text. That's one way. It'll then give you the output text on the screen and you can copy and paste it back into your website. The other way is that you could just copy the link to your website and say, here's my website, analyze the homepage and help me rewrite the text for better SEO. It will then just read the text from your homepage and again, kind of redo it based on SEO trends and even looking at your competitors and give you the text on the screen, which you can then copy and paste into your website. So those are the two main ways that you'll go about using its SEO features.
Let's see, what are the copyright implications?
So as I mentioned, it's an ongoing debate. Currently, as of my best knowledge, if you generate text or images or even videos with AI, you're free and clear to use those for your business. They're legally your property, even though an AI generated them. But that's not to say later this year or next year or sometime in the future, that will still be the case. I think that, I keep an eye on this every week practically, and it'll probably make the news if something changes dramatically. I think it'll be in the New York Times, people will see that. But certainly as I give this presentation in the future, I'm always updating it with the newest laws and regulations around the use of this for your business.
Did you request each iteration, or does ChatGPT provide more than one iteration based on your one request?
A great question. So ChatGPT only does the first iteration. You give it a prompt, they give you one answer. If you want to refine it, if you say, like I showed you, I said, give me more details about number 5, and it'll go do that. But you do have to type that in, prompt yourself, and it will then answer the next question. Agent GPT, however, it automatically updates the prompt based on what it thinks you would ask it, which is quite interesting, and it's usually quite good. And so once it goes through its 4 or 5 cycles, it'll have a kind of final version of the text, and it does that automatically. So, to really see these in person, I'd encourage you to use both of them. You can give them both the same prompt, and you'll see kind of how the examples I showed of how they handle that differently. But either one can be very useful just in different scenarios.
In regards to competitor analysis, am I correct in assuming that this feature is only available in the paid version of ChatGPT?
No, it's available on the free version as well. In fact, everything I did here today was on the free version.
Great. Let's see. How do you communicate the info about your company or business to ChatGPT? How do you get specific info without feeding the model with that info first?
So it's a good question. As I said several times, if you're on the free version, the terms and conditions state that anything you type your questions and also anything you might upload, like you copy and paste or upload a Word doc or PDF, all of that can be used to train ChatGPT. So essentially, that could be given in an answer to somebody else, right? Something you uploaded. So currently, the only way I know to make sure that doesn't happen is you can pay ChatGPT for the enterprise level package, which is quite expensive. They don't even have prices on their website. You have to call and talk to a salesperson. So it's, meant for Microsoft's or Google's, or it's meant for big companies with a lot of money. But they do say there that those pieces of data are never shared publicly. So, it's a question. The more you give it, the more accurate its answers. But at the same time, you don't want to give it anything that's, say, proprietary, or secretive. Now, would your proprietary stuff be seen by people the next day? Probably not. In fact, it'll probably never be seen by anybody. The chances are, among the, trillions of data points that ChatGPT uses, your one would not show up and harm your business. But it is like the risk is there in a very abstract sense. So it's just something to be aware of as you were to use the platform.
What would be some examples of company information not to share with AI?
So the one that I read about a few months ago, I believe it was a Google employee, and they uploaded um, some like user survey data that was proprietary for internal Google use. They uploaded it to ChatGPT to run an analysis on. And then somebody else saw pieces of the secret survey come out, who wasn't at Google. So the risk is there uploading anything unless you're going to go to that expensive tier, which I think they made specifically to address that kind of concern. Now, in the future, it's possible ChatGPT will make people even on the $20 a month paid plan give their data, say, that same level of privacy. But as my last check-in on their different plan structures, it wasn't an offer on the cheaper plan or on the free plan. But again, that could change. That could change in a month or two. So again, it's about using a smart amount of your data, but not providing all the details that could be a liability to your company if they got out. So maybe saying, I'm a pet food store owner in Alexandria, Virginia. I have fish, dogs, cats, whatever. You can give it information that will help it, do research for you without giving it your customer sales data for the last 5 years, right? So there's kind of the difference there that I'd differentiate.
Can you jump in and out of different chats? And if yes, will ChatGPT remember the info in each string of the conversations?
Yes, definitely. So you can think of it almost like you're sending email, and like when you email somebody back and forth, the whole email history is archived there from top to bottom. You can start a new email just like you can start a new chat with ChatGPT, and every single one is saved, really forever. I think at least they save it for a year, is what I've seen. So yeah, it's very nice. You can go back and if you had a conversation going on a topic a week ago or a month ago, and you want to update the information or get some more insight into that, you can just click on that conversation and you're just right there.
If you're a small or unknown company, how do you teach it about things like your target market, competitors, etc.?
So most even small businesses have like a business plan. So in the business plan, you'll say, here's a summary of the services I provide, my products. Maybe here's what I think my target market is. Here's where I think my cash flow is going to come from, right? It's giving details about your business operations at a fairly high level. So even providing a business plan that you've made that can be page to 10 pages long, that's a great start. And that's often, I think, enough information for ChatGPT to start generating you everything from content to analysis and research. But again, if you have maybe financial projections or something secret or proprietary in a business plan, I'd probably take that out before uploading the business plan to ChatGPT.
Let's see. Um, If images I generate from AI are mine and I can use in my business, are those images still available to the public to train ChatGPT?
Mhm.
Example, public access that anyone can use. Did that make sense?
Yeah, so my best understanding is definitely if you give it a prompt and say create an image of, two kids playing chess on a beach, and you're going to use that in your marketing material, you've created that image, and nobody will ever create the same image again. Even if you created a million images with that same prompt, they'll always be different. So the one you create is yours. And yes, I do believe that then that output image is part of the data set that future images are trained on.
Is there software that can alert you to AI generated content?
There's a few things that do claim to do that, and I have tested them, but they're not very accurate. And it's not just me that have found them inaccurate. There have been studies done at universities and other places that have tested these things, like for plagiarism in universities. Oftentimes, things are cited, papers are cited to have been written by ChatGPT when in fact they've proven not to be, and vice versa. So I think right now the tools are inaccurate at best, and it's just because the evolving nature of AI is changing so rapidly that the tools have a hard time of keeping up. I think sometime in the future there will be really good tools to determine quickly if an image, video, or text was AI generated, but we're not there yet.
Can I copyright my materials?
Yes. Again, and I'm not a legal expert, and if you want some more detailed information, there are probably a handful of lawyers in the US who are up to date on this, but it is rapidly evolving. But to my information, yes, both the text, images, and videos that you were to generate are the property of whoever then, gave that prompt and got the output. So you can copyright them.
Okay, this question is the best tool for image recognition.
Image recognition. We mainly talked about image generation here today, which is different than image recognition. There's not really an AI tool I've ever interacted with that does image recognition. I mean, you can certainly write image recognition algorithms, and many companies have done so, but it's not really a use case that I've explored with ChatGPT.
Um, I'm not sure if this is a question or a statement. Image design is unique to your request, but ChatGPT shares information. So if not trademarked, your logo will possibly be assessed by others.
So yeah, I think in the question would be if you use ChatGPT to create a logo for your business and you find the perfect logo and you take it, could then a part or element of your logo be recycled in somebody else's design from another prompt? The answer is yes, it could be.
Um, let's see. Okay, so one of our attendees, I guess she's been working on this, and according to her attorney, I'll just read exactly what she put. I don't agree with that statement about legally able to use AI generated art. This is not settled law. My attorney says no.
Yes, again, my current understanding is it's definitely an evolving discussion in legal circles. The latest information I read indicated that text, images, and video were owned by the person who wrote the prompt and got them from the AI. But I'm not a legal expert. So if you are speaking to a legal expert who has more updated information, I would take their statement over mine in this case.
Let's see. Are you able to generate AI images incorporating other copyrighted images? For example, a professional headshot with community contacts and sponsorships to local school organizations, logos, etc.
That's a great question. When I first started experimenting with ChatGPT's image generation, I could ask it for like a picture of a Coke bottle, on a mountaintop with the sunset behind it, and it would generate that copyrighted image of the copyrighted Coca-Cola logo. But at some point, then they started to change it, and they started to say this: we can't create a Coke bottle, we can create something that looks like it. So They do change what they'll allow you to do. And so what used to work in the past doesn't work anymore. So I can't really say what is going to work into the future. But as you know, OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, comes under more and more scrutiny, legally speaking, about how they're using other people's, content. They're trying to put in place ways to prevent them from getting in legal trouble. So sometimes it works to create copyrighted material, sometimes it doesn't. And that's all I can really say. But I think it's getting more and more strict as time goes on.
We're at time, but I'm going to throw in one more question here. Can you address, let's see, about establishing a company's ethic policy regarding AI?
Yeah, that's a great question. So a company's ethic policy involving AI, if your product or service has to do with text, maybe you're a publishing house, or maybe you make artwork and you print, art posters or something, then it'd be quite important to tell your customers, look, we don't use AI to generate our poster prints, or we don't use AI to generate the text that you buy from us. Or maybe you just say that we do use AI. So that's one approach you could take if you're selling that output. So I guess I would need to know, what type of business this was exactly, because in those use cases, it's quite apparent you need a policy, because people might get upset if they bought a piece of artwork and a poster or something that they thought was made by a human, that was made by an AI. That could lead to a bad reputation for the company. But depending on, what your company, the products are, your policy for how you handle AI, I just could see being so different. So I probably need more information to really help guide you more there.
We are a little over time, so if you have a few last parting words before I close this out, I'll let you go ahead and share, Cameron.
Well, I think that, we've covered some important topics, and thank you all for those questions. They're great questions. And obviously, I don't know everything about this as it's evolving so rapidly, especially when it comes to legal things. So I'd encourage you to continue to research on it, read the latest news, especially as it comes out in reputable news outlets, like nationwide news outlets that are kind of unbiased. Certainly, there's a lot that will change this year, both legally speaking, with the technology. And so while I've worked with lots of businesses using it every day, how the businesses can use it in the next couple of years might change. So we just all need to all be aware of that, and just keep up to date with the latest news.
Great. Thanks, Cameron. And thank you all for attending today. As a reminder, you will receive an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. If you would like to sign up for upcoming webinars or access recorded webinars, please visit virginiasbdc.org/training. This webinar and other SBDC resources are designed to be used in collaboration with your local SBDC advisors. You can sign up for a free and confidential session by emailing help@virginiasbdc.org or via our website. We hope to see you at our next session. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.